World news is full of events pertaining to Israel, how that they are besieged by rocket fire, they are threatened along their borders. The spirit of anti Semitism, or basically, just bluntly, the spirit of Jewish hatred, is rising again, not just in the United States and in the Middle East, but the world over. Why doesn't Yah just rise up and do something about it when that's what we've asked him to do? Hi, this is Barry Phillips of 10-Minute Torah, Day 5 of Bha'alotecha. Let's go to the end of Numbers, Bamidbar, chapter number 10. And it says that in verse 34, "And the cloud of Yahweh was above them by day, and they went out from the camp. And it came to be that whenever the ark set out, that Moshe said, Rise up, O Yahweh, and let your enemies be scattered, and let those who hate you flee before you. And when it rested, he said, Return, O Yahweh, to the countless thousands of Israel." This is more than just liturgy that is to accompany the moving of the ark. This is a war cry. And this, as far as the Torah itself goes, is one of the most declarative, if I can say the word, spiritual warfare statements that you're going to read. It is a very powerful phrasing. We are asking Yahweh to rise up. This is, in fact, I think, my opinion here, a reference to Yeshua rising up out of the bowels of the earth, bringing power and victory over death and the grave, decimating the powers of darkness, leading them in an open display, triumphing over them, as Rav Shaul wrote to the Colossians. This is a declaration that Yah will rise up, and at his revelation, at his genuine revelation, those who are his haters and adversaries will flee from before him. Does that automatically mean that they will flee from before Israel? There is the question. Let's go over, if we can, to the book of Psalms, and let's go to Psalm 81. In Psalm 81, Yah says that he has answered them, Israel. He has proven them at the waters of Meribah. And he says in verse 9, "Let there be no strange mighty ones among you. Do not bow down the foreign mighty one. I'm Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim. Open your mouth wide, and I fill it." Next verse. "But my people did not listen to my voice, and Israel would not submit to me. So I gave them over to their own stubborn heart to walk in their own counsels. Oh, if my people had listened to me, Israel would walk in my ways." Now, Yah is requiring not only that we hear his voice, but that we respond in obedience. That's easy enough to understand. That's reasonable enough for us to get a hold of. How often it is hard for us to actually put in practice, for whatever our reasons, our stubbornness, our pride, our failures, self, and many varieties. And so we failed to actually do what he says. Yah says, if my people had listened to me, Israel would walk in my ways. Verse 14, I would subdue their enemies at once and turn my hand against their adversaries. If we're going to ask Yah to rise up and to put Israel's enemies to flight, if we're going to pray that the Gazans no longer have this bargaining chip of the hostages, and that all the hostages be released, dead or alive, that they be restored to their families, and that closure would come, and that Israel would finally be able to subdue that land. Whether they occupy it or not, politically speaking, that remains to be seen. But the adversary that has been well entrenched in Gaza must be overcome, as well as Hezbollah to the north, as well as Iran and Yemen to their east. These adversaries must be overcome in order for Israel to have any choice or any chance, rather, for victory and for peace and for a livable lifestyle without fear of being suddenly fallen upon. But then again, that has been their dilemma ever since they came into the land and pushed the Canaanitish peoples out. There have been brief periods of peace in the land. Why isn't there peace in the land now? Well, there's a lot of political answers. There's a lot of military answers. There's a lot of international pressure answers. But at least one answer to be considered is what Yah says here: if my people had listened to my voice, they would be walking in my ways. Not accusing anyone in the land of Israel of not hearing his voice and not walking in his ways, but rather this must be applied at least to those of us who are outside the land, praying for Yah to rise up and bring victory and vindication to the people in Israel. If we're going to do that, he says, then those, in verse number 15, those who hate Yahweh would cringe before him, and their time of punishment be forever. Yah will indeed rise up and wreak havoc and destruction upon the adversaries of his people, not just the people who are in the land of Israel as a sovereign state now, but also the people of Israel the world over. If we think that the anti-Semitic spirit of hatred and violence is only going to be vented toward those within Israel's sovereign borders, we are indeed deceived. For this spirit is worldwide, and it is seeking those who will be so named and identified as being the house of Israel. So for all of those times that we have had a Mogen David around our neck, or seat on our garments, or a bumper sticker promoting Israel on our vehicle, or Israeli flag flying out in the front of our homes, however, we have identified ourselves as a supporter or a party to the people of Israel, especially the Jews as they are worldwide known. We have indeed put a target on our back. We're not hiding our target. This is not a time to be silent. But we also should understand, if Yah is going to give us victory over our adversaries, if Yah is going to stand up and put those to flight who hate him and his people, we are going to have to learn to listen to his voice. And when we have listened to his voice and have been willing to walk in obedience, then we can cry out, and Yah will hear us, and he will cause those who hate him to cringe before him. And then we can also rightly pray, return, O Yah, to the countless thousands of Israel. Bring again your presence. Bring again your power and your might. I want to take a moment to thank you for your prayers, your intercessions, for your encouraging words and comments, for subscribing. If you haven't, please do so. For liking videos, for leaving thumbs up, and for your support. May Yah's favor, blessings, presence, power, and light be upon you, with you, as you celebrate Shabbat and observe this set-apart day of his rest. Until next week, Shabbat Shalom.